We bought the $500,000 property today. It grew by 7% annually and compounds over the next 10 years. Its value in 10 years' time is going to be $983,000. So your after-tax profit, which is the number that we want to pay attention to through these three scenarios, your after-tax profit is...
What is the real dollar value of sitting on the sideline if you leave it for longer than you want to?
Can you save $25,000 a year after tax?
If you cannot put away $1,000 a week pre-tax, shut your mouth and just do something where you buy a property.
You are still earning an insane profit. It's absolutely crazy that people think that they can't do anything right now. They've just shuffled the board around a little bit and you pay a little bit more tax, which is fine. If you're out there and you're like, oh no, I can't do something now because the government's changed, I can pretty confidently say, hey everyone, welcome back to the Smash Property Podcast. This week's episode, we're going to talk. We're going to have a real conversation here, because if you are someone, or maybe you know someone who is constantly making excuses and used these government changes as an excuse for them to not go ahead and purchase a property, then this is the episode that you're going to want to listen to, or maybe share with someone who you think might need to hear this. With me today, I have Akira back in the studio, back on the potty. It's been a hot minute since you've been here.
Yeah, I feel like 2 months plus.
Yeah, it's been a while.
We've kind of miss it.
Yeah, I miss these episodes. It's been a while. I've said to the viewer this, by the time they see this, I have apologized for the tardiness with the potty.
The market updates.
But we've just been busy. There's been a lot going on for all the right reasons. And now we're back on the attack with the potty.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Like when you're running a business, just figuring out the priorities of stuff as much as the potties are a priority. It's they are also important. Just looking after clients, I think, as well.
It is one of those things where you do have to prioritize sometimes. But we are back, and this is an episode you kind of really spawned from you, really.
Yes.
And the enormous amount of conversations that you've had recently. So cracker.
No, absolutely. And I think it's not coming from an attacking point of view. It's more so coming from the point of view of just having the courage to do something even when it's scary, because I feel as though with conversations I have been having with that voice inside of people wanting to do something but then blaming the government for stuff.
Yeah, and it's
an interesting one.
Yeah, I just had a mind blank, but I did another potty earlier, and it was like when the market is cranking and it's going crazy, then everyone's like, oh yeah, I'm going to get in, I'm going to do it, and like everyone rushes in. But when it sort of cools off a little bit, it is literally the best time to buy. But everyone's like, oh nah, I'm not going to do it now.
I guess from my perspective, the real true value, what people will get out of this podcast is, number one, separating the excuse from the real reason of doing something like property investing. Number two, understanding how the CGT changes actually work. Maybe we can work through a specific scenario. And number three, what is the real dollar value of sitting on the sideline if you leave it for longer than you want to, if that makes sense?
That, and what can you still do?
Yes.
I think a lot of people are thinking right now, they hear the changes, and look, you and I probably know the change a little bit more detail than the average person out there, but people just sort of seem to think that the gate is shut and there is no way that you can really progress forward with property investing these days, which is just not true. So we'll show you how these changes impact you and what you can actually do to still move forward, because there's tons of things you can do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I guess maybe just starting from the top and just understanding the actual policy changes versus an excuse in how you do something. Like from your perspective, what is the difference, and how do you know whether it's, an exterior force telling you not to do something, or you just making up the excuse, if that makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense to me. And it's a good question. Like only you can answer that within your own self, right? And I think maybe even you can't, because I'm just thinking when I was a little bit less wise, it's easy to sort of shove the excuse out there for anything, really. It's easy to, if there is any ounce of an external thing that you can blame, if you're not wise or mature enough within yourself, you're going to do that. Because I kind of did that when I was younger. So like it is hard, and I think it is like an internal awakening that you've got to go down, and not to go down like this spiritual journey here, but like you kind of got to be aware of yourself and your own bullshit.
That is a massive thing.
Like for you to then realize, oh no, hang on here, I am bullshitting myself. Like, you know, I really should get in and go and do something.
To be honest, we have it with the business, with when things are a little bit harder with certain things that go on in a business element. Sometimes we've faced, hey, are we making an excuse or are we just copping out? And I feel like that accountability is such a big thing, because even when I think about it from like history, there's never been an easy time in truth.
It's never easy.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like there was the GFC crackdown in 2008. There was obviously the mining turn down, the 2018 like credit situation as well. 2020, there was the COVID situation as well. And then 2022, there was also the war that was going on. So there's always been something, and this is just the last 10 or so years. Like we're not even thinking in the course of history. Like there's always been things that come up that pull people away and make them feel like, fuck, this is going to turn to shit.
My thing is related to this specific change in property. Like if you're out there and you're like, oh no, I can't do something now because the government's changed these things. I can pretty confidently say that if you're one of these people saying that, then you absolutely are making an excuse for yourself to not do it. Because if you really did understand what the changes are, and we're going to go through that in a quick second, you will soon realize, hey, actually, there's not a huge amount that's really changed here that actually impacts my ability to go and buy a property. So maybe if you're using it as an excuse, maybe you got to start thinking and
reflecting.
Look at yourself.
To be fair, take a look in the mirror. To be fair though, I think when I look at people with multi-digit portfolios and who are obviously successful, not just in wealth, but happiness as well, they have always done things when the times are the hardest quote, or like in a crisis, I guess. So people who take action when everyone's freaking out typically get the reward, from my understanding of life.
And I said it a quick second ago, like it's never meant to be easy. Like you're investing for a financial outcome. You think that it's just going to be so, easy mode. And I think a lot of people maybe were lulled into this false sense of easiness with property because we had rates that were like near zero for so long. Like credit was just so easy to get. The market just kept going up and up and up and up all the time. So it's like, hey, this is a sure thing, right? So yeah, it's not meant to be an easy road, and it is a road that is going to have many twists and turns in it, as you and I have known for many years now.
But I actually feel like right now, with it not being as heated from the buying sense, it's moved from a seller's market to a buyer's market. And for those who are actually wanting to get good bargains and deals with the investing journey, this is such an ideal time to get in, because you don't have to compete against people who are overpaying for properties just from the FOMO. So I love that personally. It's just seeing the opportunity where possible is important.
Yeah, no, 100%.
So I think more importantly, let's maybe look at some CGT changes in the calculator. I was thinking maybe just recording screen. We have a beautiful accountant that we work with, and with his help, we've understood the actual complexities of how the discount applies to different situations. So we've built a calculator on the website, and we'll link it down below. But I think maybe just running a scenario of, what do you reckon, like a 500K purchase or something like that?
I'm telling, I've just did the property market update, which will come out really soon. And
are you recording?
Yeah.
Cool.
And my thing is, even if you had $1 million plus borrowing capacity, I would still be saying, hey, go and buy something for in and around the 500K mark. It just makes so much sense. So you can see on the screen here, this is our CGT calculator, which, like Akira said, we've managed to get the, how it works from our accountant and our regular catch-ups with him. And this is really important for you guys watching at home to really just understand. If you bought a property today, what is the impact to you? How does this CGT change impact you through the life of you holding this property? And this is going to put into really good context all of those things. So we actually have 3 scenarios that you can see on the screen here. Scenario A is as it is currently with the 50% discount, all right? And you're going to see the difference across the board. Scenario B is the new change that's been legislated that will be rolled out in the new financial year next year, so July 2027. And then we've got scenario C, which is if there was no CGT discount, it was just taxed at the nominal marginal rate. So let's say we go and purchase a property for $500,000. Now, the long-term growth rate for property in this country is 7%. And I know before you jump out and you go, oh yeah, well, Melbourne's only done 3% in the last 10 years. I'm talking about the last 50 years of growth, not just the last 5 years, the last 10 years, right? It is 7%. And if you don't agree, go and look at all the data and then come back and tell me. I'm going to assume that we're going to hold this property for at least 10 years.
Yes,
right?
At a bare minimum.
I always say to people, especially now, like if you are planning to hold a property for more than 10 years, 10 plus years, or even 5 plus years, even in you buy now, you are going to win. The second assumption we're going to make here is CPI. Now, in the last 12 months, as you all know, every second headline is that inflation is through the roof. It's been about 4.5%. The long-term run of inflation has been about 2.57%. So we're going to make a reasonable assumption that over the next 10 years, inflation is going to sit somewhere around 3%. All right. So we're going to slide that slider up to 3%. Because we're ballers and we earn good money, I'm going to max out the tax rate at 47%. All right. So maximum nominal tax, right?
Yep.
So if I zoom in here so you can see a better picture of it, we'll run through scenario A. So scenario A is right now you have a 50% discount. And because you've held the property for 12 months or more, you get that 50% discount. So we bought the $500,000 property today. It grew by 7% annually and compounds over the next 10 years. Its value in 10 years' time is going to be $983,000 that you can see on the screen here. So that's a total gain of $483,000 in that 10 years. All right. The taxable amount is $240,000. And then the CGT payable is $113,000. Okay. Right. So your after-tax profit, which is the number that we want to pay attention to through these 3 scenarios, your after-tax profit is $370,000. Right. So that's our baseline.
Yeah.
If we had the rules today, we bought a property today and that rule stayed through, we'd have about $370,000. With scenario B, it's based on inflation. So yes, there is no 50% discount, but you only pay tax on the actual gain minus inflation, which is what a lot of people don't really understand. So if you bought a property today and this legislation held true all the way through to the 10 years to when you sold it, bear in mind, I would always encourage you to hold property much longer than that. But let's say you did, all the same things apply. You'd have an after-tax profit of $337,000.
Yeah,
right.
Which is the key that a lot of people somehow
you are
miss.
Still earning an insane profit. So, okay, 50% discount. We've got $370,000 after tax. With the indexation model, the new one that's come out, we're going to have $337,000. So yeah, sure, we've paid a little bit more tax, but we are still getting a hectic gain out of this whole thing, right? So we can still win, okay? And that's if inflation is around 3%. What you need to understand is if inflation is much higher,
which
we actually would have a better after-tax profit, right? If inflation is a little bit lower, then we will be paying more tax. But the thing you need to take away from this is that the government hasn't taken away your ability to make a profit from property, right? They've just shuffled the board around a little bit and you pay a little bit more tax, which is fine. You've still got $330,000 here.
So many people out there, to be quite frank with you, who buy property and it's the wrong property and it doesn't even grow to that position.
Yep.
So this is where at the end of the day, if you are going to do this, you've just got to be calculated and tactful on what style of asset you're buying as well.
Absolutely. And just to round this out, worst case scenario C is if there was no capital gains discounts or anything like that, and it was the gain was just taxed at your nominal tax rate, which I've put in here as 47%, which is the highest tax bracket in the country. You would even then still walk away with $256,000 after tax. So regardless of whatever rule is in place, whatever tax law is legislated, you buy the right property at the right time in the right market, you hold it for a period of time, you are going to walk away with at least something to show for it. Now, just before we round this out, and I know you want to throw to something in a second, but ask yourself, in 10 years' time, can you save $25,000 a year after tax, right? At a minimum, can you do that after tax, right? A lot of people might be able to, but the average person can't, right? And this is why holding property is the way to build wealth, right? This is how we went from just being, and I am still pretty normal, but this is how we built our wealth, right? Not by saving our way there, but by investing in assets that grow over time, and then you hold it. And
they
it
compound, I think, is the key. And I think maybe just to your point, and it's what our accountant said with so much conviction that made me realize this message really needs to go out there, because there's so much noise around the policy changes and all that shit, but it really doesn't make a difference towards the goal. What he had basically said was property grows at an average 5 to 7%, right? If you cannot put away $1,000 a week pre-tax, shut your mouth and just do something where you buy a property, because you cannot save to that point where you get a better outcome than property. He said it with so much.
He says it so much better, but the takeaway is that, like, unless you are earning, like I'm going to say, well over $300,000-$500,000, no one's going to be able to save at the rate that property grows. It is just not possible. So unless you can, it makes sense to take your money, put it into property. It is unfortunately the way that the system is designed. That property, if you've bought it in the right area at the right time, is going to grow way quicker than you're able to save. I've seen it personally, month on month for the last however many years I've held property. It's just the way it goes.
And I think also the other side of that, and what I was thinking about before jumping on here, is not only do you get that benefit of the compounding growth and growing your net worth, but yes, the negative gearing right now has been scrapped for established build properties or houses. But I think if, again, you buy in the right place in the right area, typically by a certain point, it moves from negatively geared to positively geared. So not only are you compounding your wealth in the growth, at a certain point, that property starts paying you a passive income. So you get these benefits from it that, yes, it's hard for the first couple of years. There's no doubt about it. It's not easy by any means. But if you have the backbone and the willingness to take a chance, even though it's not easy, it pays dividends.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's what people who don't own property don't understand. They sort of go, oh, it's going to be negatively geared for the next 30 years. And it's like, no, it's not, mate. Like, it, to your point, we've said it so many times on this podcast. It's around, if you don't take any equity out, somewhere around the 5th year of holding the property, it is going to flip to at least neutrally a position where it's not costing you anything. And then the longer you hold it, the more it's going to start paying you out. Plus, it's also building your wealth as well. So it's absolutely crazy that people think that they can't do anything right now. So I know we've just dropped a ton of info. So let's just break this down really simply. Like, if you bought a property right now and your plan was to build wealth, we've just proven without a shadow of a doubt through the CGT changes, you can still produce.
You will still make money.
An amazing outcome for yourself, right? So if you bought a property now, you're going to pay a little bit more tax. Absolutely. And there's a few variables that go with that, but you are still going to come out with a great outcome in 10 years, imagine you held that thing 20 years, 30 years. You're going to have an amazing nest egg sitting there. So it still makes so much sense. And then I'm hearing people going, yeah, but what about the negative gearing changes? I can't reduce my taxable income. None of the properties that we have ever bought and none of the strategies we have ever mentioned on this podcast ever go through with talking about how great negative gearing is and how much it's fucking awesome and this and that. Sure, if you're buying these dumbass blue chip areas in fucking Bondi, yeah, you're probably going to need negative gearing because the cash flow sucks. But all the properties that we purchase, the cash flow matches the investor, right? And this is going to vary for everyone. Some people can manage $300-$400 a week. Some people only want $50, $100, $200 a week out of pocket after all the expenses, right? So you need to invest within your means. I think that's just the way that you do it.
Yes.
And I think you were talking with one of our awesome clients recently. She has a couple of properties and she didn't even know that you can buy a property in a capital city right now for like under 300 grand.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the key, right? It's being able, and I love this girl. She's very switched on. And I think her mindset is, what can I actually do? Like, what are my personal options right now? So she's already got 2 properties and she's sitting in a position now where those properties have grown in value and they're cash flowing well because she's bought well. Now she's like, all right, given that I've got this equity base, I don't want my lifestyle to suffer. So how do we kind of navigate this next one? Do I look at shares? Do I look at crypto? We spoke about it and we still understand and came to the bottom line of you do not get the leverage in the same way that property does for your possession. So let's just focus on something that yields you a stronger cash flow in the long run. So it's easy to hold and it just grows in value and sits there. You're in a capital city. You're in a market where there's high demand, easy to find a tenant. If ever you need to sell, which you won't, but if ever, it's easy to liquidate as well.
Yep.
So it's just focusing on what is actually possible for your situation always. It is.
And I'm just going to throw this out there because I always want to be balanced when we're providing information out there, right? Like we are obviously very pro property. Property's been amazing for us. We've just shown how you can really still get ahead if you don't own any properties right now, what you can do, right? And then there are some that for me, there's only really one major risk that I see with property right now. Because I know there'll be people some screaming, oh yeah, property's not going to always go up in value, this and that.
And they're right.
And they're correct, right?
Absolutely.
It doesn't always go up in value. And we're seeing that right now in certain markets.
Like corrections happening. And
it is going to happen that way.
Absolutely.
I think a bigger risk to it is unemployment, right? If unemployment rises and it continues to rise, that's where we are going to see more impacts in the market, particularly because if people don't have jobs, they're not really going to be able to pay rent. It's going to impact vacancy rates, all those sorts of things, right? So that's one thing to really keep your eye on as things progress with, what we have going on in the world right now, which is why at the moment I'm pro capital city, right? Yes. I've always been pretty balanced between regional and capital cities for a long time. But as with everything, we need to shift and change and adapt with how we look at the market. And this is why capital cities, if you are going to do it yourself, be focusing on those capital cities right now. For me, it's Sydney and Melbourne. And you might go, oh yeah, but they're the ones that are falling. That's why you want to buy there, because you're getting a discount, man. That's the whole point.
They just look at what's happening right now, but what might happen.
Yeah, they're like, oh, it's lost like 2%. It's like, yeah, good, bro. Get in and do it. Buy it. Yeah. Now they want to buy when the market's going through the roof.
Yeah, and this is what happens all the time. Like people get the tailwind of markets that have grown and then still want to get into. I don't get it because I have someone call me talking about Rockhampton still. I'm like,
bro, that's like 3 years old now, 2 years old. But I don't get it because everyone loves a discount. It's like, but when the properties are on a discount, they're like, oh no, I'm not going to touch it there. If I know you got some value out of that. If you're still here, I know you got some value.
Hopefully.
Like I said, I think we're in YouTube jail at the moment. I don't think YouTube likes us. So if you can very kindly press the like button, tell the YouTube gods that this was a good episode and share it with someone who you feel would get a ton of value out of what we have just gone through on this episode. Now,
I want to talk to this as well because I'm assuming not many of our viewers who are actually investors would have much value from this. But I think the like-mindedness in your circle is so important as well. And sharing this is important because people only have half
ditch
the
those
story.
friends that are, I wouldn't call them friends. If people are like, oh, no, don't do it. Just get rid of them. Cut them out.
No, but like it's scary. And if you don't know any better, it's always important to understand things.
There's this famous quote saying, right? Like, take a look at the closest 5 people around you, right? Your network defines your net worth, right? If you're looking around you and you have nothing but broke friends around you, I'm serious. You got to hear, I'm giving you some tough love.
It's not nice. It's me.
If you look around you and the 5 closest people around you are broke, you might want to start looking at networking and finding, no, you don't need to find new friends, but finding new people to speak with and help elevate you, because it's by no fault of their own. You are just going to be held back by people with this limited mindset.
And also,
I hate to say it, but that's reality.
To be clear, like, it's not about being broke. Like that, it's not about that. It's about like the mindset and wanting more for yourself, not being closed off to, you know, the abundance that's out there in the world. Yeah. Because I think it's important to get what you deserve. We live in such a beautiful country.
Look, I'm confident in saying it because it was a dramatic difference for me. Like, I had some pretty shitty circles of people around me, you know, as a young kid, as we kind of always do, right? And when you start shedding away those shitty people and those sort of things, just by the pure fact of you not being around those kind of energies and behaviors, it is going to automatically take you to another level, right?
Yeah. Which
which is so important. You got to have the right people in your corner through all aspects of your life, but particularly if you're looking to actually build wealth in property, you want people around you who have built wealth in property.
Yeah.
Right? You don't want to take advice from someone who
at a barbecue.
The classic saying, right, of you go to a family barbecue and everyone's an expert in property and telling you this, that. But meanwhile, they only own maybe the house that they live in and barely 1 or 2 properties, right? Yeah. You want to get advice from people who have got skin in the game in all aspects of it, right? With that being said, if you want help on your journey and you want someone to help find and buy your next investment property and hold your hand through the entire process and go into it with a bit of a plan, right? Like, not just focusing on one area or another for any other reason, but the area that focuses best for the results that you want to get. That is what Akira, myself, and the team do exceptionally well, exceptionally well. There is a link in the description if you would like to have a chat with us. The first step is a 15-minute conversation. That's it. We'll determine if we're going to be a good fit, and then we can take things from there if we feel like we are. Now, if you need help on the finance aspect, you want to refinance, pull out some equity, restructure your deals, maybe you're a first home buyer, first-time investor, we have a mortgage broking business, Trevally Capital. Again, link in the description where you can book a free call. We'll go through what your situation looks like and is it possible to do anything from there. So we can do the buyer's agent thing. We can do the mortgage broking thing. We do both of them really well. But I think that's all we have time for this episode.
Yes.
Thanks for gracing us with your presence once again.
Thank you.
I hope you got some value out of that. If you did, appreciate you consider subscribing if you haven't already. And we can hopefully get out of YouTube jail together. But until next time, thanks so much for watching. I'm Nick V. This is Akira. We'll catch you soon.
Thank you.